Okay. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about our journey with the Ascended Masters. So hi Deidre. Hi
Hi,
everyone.
Taya.
Hi. So we both been working with the Ascended Masters for a really long time. And often people ask us about the Ascended Masters, why working with the Ascended Masters, what is it all about? And especially, I think in the last maybe 10 years, it has become a really popular topic and there are like all these ideas around it. But our experience with working with the Ascended Masters comes way before that, way before it became popular or known. And I think it's really important that we share our beautiful journey today with everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good.
So, when did it all start? So, maybe I can share a little bit about my
Yeah.
journey. So, I have always had these powerful experiences in my dreams, but we're dating back before internet. Yes, we're that old. Before internet, before any of that. So, the only option that I had to figure out what was happening in my dreams, who were these beings talking to me, telling me stuff, teaching me, telling me about my life purpose, starting probably when I was like 13, 14, 15, 16. Like I didn't understand what was happening because I just wanted to have a normal life, right? But there were these beings coming into my dreams, and usually I would never see the face, I would just hear the voice. It was as if they were standing behind, and they would always tell me about like different things about what life is really about the spirituality, spiritual path, and of course also about my own path. So I didn't quite really understand what that was. And I remember I was so excited every evening going to bed because like, oh, what kind of dream am I gonna have tonight, right? But I knew they weren't dreams, but at the same time, I just wanted to have, I was young, I was a teenager, I wanted to have just a normal life, right? However, the dreams were very profound and they would happen night after night. It almost felt like, if I look back, I was taken into some sort of a school every night where I was being trained, yes, where I was being trained and I was being told all sorts of things. And then in the morning, I would come back. And some of the dreams were much more profound than like, or interesting than others. But essentially, I knew something really powerful was happening because I was changing. My perspective on life was changing. What was I doing in this world was completely changing. Of course, I had still the teenage version of me, but it was changing me. It was changing my consciousness. It was opening my consciousness, completely different realities I've never heard about. I could never read anywhere about it. So what did I do? Trying to figure out like what is happening to me, right? What is this? I started going to the library. And of course, as synchronicities would have it, like I would always grab the most interesting book and open it up exactly where it was the exact answer to, for example, what happened in my dream last night or 2 nights before. And I was shocked. So there were two types of books at that time that were really speaking to me. One type were the books of Carlos Castaneda. Okay, his books where he explains about realities and going through different realms. And I was like, oh my God, this is what's happening to me. And the other type of books were the Buddhist teachings. And they were all about really the soul, the consciousness, and all these different experiences you get to have once you start to opening your consciousness. So what I basically started realizing is that my consciousness is opening up. This is very, very unique. And I had these intuitive insights and prophetic dreams since I was a child, right? But that was a normal part. But connecting to this level of, as I call them, teachers, was very, very unusual, was very new to me, because the more I was mature, the more they were willing to communicate with me on a much more conscious level, in terms of like telling me what more information was coming through about my life, about my purpose, what life is all about. And the most important dream, and this is really, I would say, my first meeting with a true ascended master, like that I would be fully conscious of, and I still remember that dream, and it wasn't a dream, was when I was walking up this most beautiful hill, Deidre. It was the most gorgeous hill, blue sky, sun. I mean, it was just amazing energy. It was like Earth, but it wasn't Earth. It was a million times more beautiful and magical. And I'm walking up, and there is this old Buddhist monk sitting on the floor, meditating, looks at me, because he opens his eyes, looks at me, and I knew that I have been called to meet him. So he called me to meet him. And I'm walking up there, and then he starts explaining to me all about my life purpose. I cannot remember a single thing. I cannot recall a single piece of information, okay, in terms of my logical brain, because it was completely erased. What I know is we had a very long discussion. He gave me all the instructions. And then it was absolutely beautiful experience. And then the next thing I remember, because it's almost like he's speaking, but I can't remember what he's saying. Like the voice is muted. And suddenly the voice comes online again in my memory. And suddenly he says, here you go, and gives me a scroll. It was a scroll, ancient scroll. This is your purpose. And I'm giving you a horse. And there's this amazing horse standing next to me. He's going to walk by your side as you go to earth and you fulfill your purpose. And suddenly I start walking, I'm getting goosebumps. Suddenly I start walking down the hill, and it's almost like it's this beautiful hill. I'm walking down and there's earth, and the dream ends because I go back into the body and return back here. And that was my very first experience face to face with a true master.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And basically, you know, we all have our own journeys. We all have our own ways how we are being guided, because, you know, you have to go through life in a way that is meant and designed for you. But for me, that was because it happened so early on. It was so important because it completely changed the direction of my life. And long story short, because there's so many other elements to this, but long story short, if we just follow the topic of the Ascended Masters, you know, my life, that probably happened, this meeting with the master happened when I was probably 16. Of course, after that information, I still tried to be very normal, and, you know, didn't work. At 20, you know, fit into the normal life. It didn't work. At 20, finally, I got the most massive download probably of my life, where I was like shown two paths, two possible futures for me. And it was so clear. If you choose the normal route, the comfort zone, you will have a really nice life, but there's no meaning in it. The other path is all about spiritual service. And in that moment, I made my full decision, my full commitment. I was just studying for my university exams, closed the books, never opened them again. And I was like, I said to my mom, I said, I am not going to study. I'm going to travel the world and teach people about the light and consciousness. She fell off her unicorn, obviously. She was like, what? You know, imagine that was 25 years ago, right? So, what? That energy, consciousness, light, what are you even talking about? Anyway, then I followed that calling, and I started traveling, and this is also how we met. And if I now fast forward to when actually we connected through an amazing deep trance channel, Margaret. And Margaret was a deep trance channel for Maitreya. And when I was in New Zealand, and I was in a quite unpleasant situation at that time, suddenly I hear in my mind the word Maitreya. Maitreya? What is Maitreya? I've never heard of that. So I go and Google it. And suddenly Margaret's website appears. And I open her website, and I saw that she offers channeled readings. I book a reading. And the first thing in my reading with Margaret, unbelievable experiences. But she says, the master is saying, that was basically the first thing, that I am meant to help you. And I am meant to basically bring you over here and do this and this and this for you, because you need help in this and these areas. And I was like, how does she know? Like, how, what? And basically, what was that completely changed my life completely, because, you know, there I was in the middle of New Zealand. I hear a word, Maitreya. I found Margaret. And the first thing, this lady, she never met me, tells me everything about my life and tells me, Master Maitreya is telling me this and this and this. I need to help you in this and these ways because you're meant to do this work. And I'm like, what? How? Anyway, she helped me tremendously. And that's also how we met and had both unbelievable experiences.
Yeah.
Also, not just in our dreams or meditations, but actually also with Margaret, by channeling in deep trance Maitreya, beautiful, powerful teachings.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, that was my journey to get to the point where I realized that I was actually working with the Ascended Masters, who all of these voices were in my dreams when I was younger, and telling me and teaching me and taking me to all these schools and universities, or who that beautiful old ancient teacher was in my dream who told me about my life purpose. I realized it was all, you know, what we understand now as Ascended Masters, but I do feel that the name Ascended Masters has become quite, you know, wrongly understood. You know, we have our own interpretations like humans, but essentially, I would say Ascended Masters, you know, they're teachers, they're high-level teachers of consciousness, of energy, of light, and they have mastered a certain level of energy. And what are they really? They are here to help those who want to grow, who want to spiritually evolve, and who want to serve the awakening of the consciousness of humanity. And in no way they are trying to attach us to them. In no way. This is completely wrong. Understand? They don't want anything from us. They don't need anything from us. They're like, you know, superheroes in consciousness, and we are the ones that are growing, evolving. And if we do ask to be mentored by them, they will appear as our mentors, but in no way will they interfere with our life, with our free will, interfere with anything, any challenges we need to go through. Oh no. No, they will happily push us into all the challenges we need to go through and watch us from afar to see how we
With popcorn.
Yeah, and snack on popcorn and have fun. So there are, like, I just wanted to say this because there are so many misconceptions about the concept of Ascended Masters, and it's all mixed up with religions and all sorts of things. And then people can get really confused. Like, in my mind, the way I experience them, they are teachers of pure consciousness. They're most beautiful beings. And what do they teach us? They teach us that we are the masters, that we are a masters ourselves, and we are masters in training in physical reality, and our life is our creation. We're fully responsible for our reality. So, and one of the most beautiful things from Maitreya for me was, it's such a simple teaching, but it's so profound. Your life is all about your higher self versus your lower self. Higher self, your higher consciousness, your intuition, and your ego. And if you give into your lower self, you will keep creating karma and drama. If you learn to follow your higher self, you will walk the path that you're truly meant to. Now, Deidre, your journey. This is my journey to up to the point where we met with Margaret, but your journey, please share.
Okay, so mine is quite different to yours in the sense that I didn't have all of those experiences as a young person, but I sort of did and I didn't. I did in a very unconscious level. So I remember always looking for things and reading books that other people didn't read and looking at things that other people didn't look at. And I can remember my mother telling me when I was young, she used to try and send me to Sunday school on a Sunday, and I would wag and just go and do my own thing. And apparently she told me years later I used to go and hang out in the graveyard in the cemetery, and she would tell me off and say, "What are you doing there?" And I was like, "I'm talking to the dead people." Like it was the most normal thing in the world to do.
How
She was
old were you?
horrified. I would have been 7 or 8, just very young, very, very young. So I really aspired to do all of this. I just so wanted to do all of this, but I never for 1 minute thought that I had the capabilities or the talents or the gifts or whatever to be able to do this work. So it was Margaret that actually activated me. So up until then, I was sort of, oh, this is really interesting, but it's obviously not my path, or else I would be getting great big awakenings like you had and all that sort of thing. And then I sat down with her because I knew Margaret, first of all, as my friend. And I sat down with her one day and she said, I think I should do a reading for you, an astrology reading, because she was an astrologer also. And I'll never forget, she opened up her computer, put my chart up on the screen, and she took one look at it and she goes, "Oh my God," she goes, "You're an astrologer." She said, "You've done this lifetime after lifetime." And seriously, as she said that, something went click in my head, and I seriously felt a download like this, tick, 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 all these things fall into place. Within 2 weeks, I understood everything about astrology.
Goosebumps, proper.
Yeah, because I've done it lifetime after lifetime. So it was just reconnecting with that soul memory. And so then I went on to do training with Margaret, work with her in classes, and all the classes was done in Deep Trance Channel. So it was the Master Maitreya that spoke to us all the time. And the thing that sets the Ascended Masters aside from other spiritual helpers on the earth plane is that they have all had a lifetime down here. Some of them only one, had one lifetime down here. They're not coming back here again. It's way too hard. And so they've stayed in spirit. But because they've had a lifetime on the earth plane, they have that understanding of humanity and how it works down here, which is more than what a lot of the other spiritual helpers that we do have, because they've had this lifetime. So they really understand how we work. And so they've dedicated their energy and themselves to helping humanity. That's what they're here for. And Maitreya, back then, when we were working with him, was known as the world teacher. His role was to teach the teachers so that we could go out and teach other people. And I believe that that's been handed over to the Master El Moya now. And Maitreya's moved on to another, I'm not sure what his responsibility is, but he's moved up a little bit higher, I believe. So the Ascended Masters are this incredible group of energies who have all lived here. So Ascended Masters are like Mary Magdalene was an Ascended Master. Jesus is an Ascended Master. Buddha is an Ascended Master. Saint Germain, who had a lifetime as William Shakespeare, is an Ascended Master. So they've all come here, had lifetimes, and done things on the earth plane to help humanity. And so now they've dedicated themselves in the spiritual planes to working with people who also want to help humanity and awaken people's consciousness and all the things that we're doing with our work. And so the closer we work with the Ascended Masters, the more we kind of take up a role of helping. And it's not a hierarchical thing or that I'm better than you or anything like that. It's simply awareness. And the one thing that the Ascended Masters, the biggest teaching that's always stood out to me, is that we come here to face our fears.
Yes.
The earth plane is a school of learning. And as we all know, if you're scared of anything in this lifetime, it has so much power over you. And you can't go there, you can't do that, you can't do all these things because of this fear. So once you face a fear, it dissolves, it disappears. And that's one of the most powerful things I think the Ascended Masters teach us, is to not be scared to face our fears, because what we find on the other side is this massive awakening, this massive awareness of what's really going on, of who we really are and what we're really capable of. So yeah, it's been an amazing. So yeah, all sorts of things. So once I connected with Margaret and the Masters, then things just came flying, and every night or every day, all of these things happening, and just learning really interesting things. I remember one thing with Margaret was doing a show in New Zealand, and I'd only been working with her for a year or so, so I wasn't that good at what I was doing, but I was learning. And so she was doing a big show, and she needed a compere, someone to introduce her and talk about what's going to happen and do all of that. And first of all, she asked me to do it, and I was so excited. I thought, oh God, what an amazing privilege to do this. And then she decided she wanted somebody else. She didn't want me to do it. She wanted someone who had a lot more experience in that area. And I was absolutely heartbroken. And, in those days, I was still sort of learning about all of this stuff. And so I was sort of aware, okay, you haven't got this and there's a reason for it. Whereas the old me or the old 3D people are all thinking, well, that wasn't fair. Poor me. I'm never going to talk to her again. And God, it would have gone through it down that road. But I didn't. I stood back, and it was really hard, but I stood back and go, okay, this is all right. This is obviously happening for a reason. This is a good thing. And when I went to bed that night, I remember lying down and just closing my eyes and being shown the most incredible colors I've ever seen in my life. And it was like, to me, that was a spiritual thank you. Thank you for not letting your ego take over here. And this is what, by showing me these colors, it was like, this is what you're stepping into. This is what you're going to be able to see and do and create if you let go of that ego and just step into that higher self energy. So it was a beautiful, really lovely experience to really see it and feel it that way.
Yeah, that's amazing, Deirdre. Like when you're talking, I'm just getting like so much insights as we're like opening this topic for ourselves and everyone else. And I can really, I'm really seeing like all of these schools and university in the higher realities. Like sometimes we say in spirit, but what is spirit? It's just higher from our reality, worlds that are higher from our reality. And I can really see how, like you said, the ego, the lower self, is the one thing. It's like a dark cloak. We wrap ourselves, we wrap around ourselves, and it's like, no, this is who I am, right? And we identify with our ego. And these beautiful teachings are waiting for us.
Yeah.
This beautiful wisdom, solutions to all our problems, answers to everything are literally waiting for us. All we need to do is take off that cloak of our ego and say, okay, I think I'm ready to remember who I really am and what this life is really all about. And then I just wanted to share this because I really feel that it's important that people understand that all of these teachings are available to them just by letting go of their ego and saying, I'm ready to learn. And they will be energetically connected to these beautiful places of teaching, of guidance, of answers, of healing. Because often people think, I need to study each of the ascended masters to understand what it's all about. You don't need to study anything, okay? Because what is, from my experience, things that are usually on earth, available on earth, they're always in some sort of distortions. There's a distortion around it, around the teachings. I mean, all the stories that have been created around, like especially the more well-known masters. And we really want to get to that level of connecting directly without any intermediates and really access these beautiful libraries of knowledge and higher wisdom, so we can remember who we are and access these energies that you've experienced, these beautiful energies.
Yeah, and that's why, we're all different in how we receive energy or see things or feel things. And that's another thing that is really important, I think, for people to understand, is that just because I see or feel things one way, or you see or feel things, we're all going to do it differently. And there's no correct way of doing it. There's no perfect way of doing it. Just be open to how you receive it. Because a lot of people are constantly looking, well, I can't see anything. I can't see anyone. I can't hear anyone. But you're not meant to. You're meant to feel it. You're meant to sense it. You're meant to know it rather than actually see it.
I would also say that's such an important point, because people do try to then say, okay, how do I connect? How do I see? Like, just let it go. It will come to you naturally. But one of the things I would really emphasize, the way I see the relationships of the masters relating to us or humanity, I see often from their perspective that humanity is like a kindergarten, and all the kids are running around pulling each other's like toys, fighting, hugging, playing, some are crying and screaming, some are having fun, but it's really a kindergarten. And they're just like kind of observing from above. And when one of us is ready to stop the game, stop playing in the kindergarten and say, wait a minute, what is this really all about? Who am I really? So they stop the ego game, the projections, and really ask themselves the most important question: what on earth am I doing here? What is my life really supposed to be about? Because like I'm a mother, I'm a father, all of that, yes, but what is it, the essence of it? When you're ready to ask that question, something opens up. It's almost like the energy of the ascended master say, oh, look at that. One of them just woke up. Let's send some energy. And then that beautiful energy starts guiding you through your own journey of awakening. And what I feel from their experience is that they help us with these high level energies. And teachings and downloads, they help us make sense of this reality. And they help us organize this reality, because this reality, how life is lived on earth in terms of not nature, that's in harmony, but people, it's chaos. People have so many ideas. Spiritual people, so many ideas. I always hear from the masters, oh, you people, you have so many opinions, all of your opinions and judgments, and you think, so really to clear that out, to clear the distortions out, and they help us bring forward, I would always say, the most simple but yet the most profound teachings. We think that teachings, higher consciousness teachings, need to be complicated, so you basically twist yourself and your mind and you become a pretzel, basically. No, they're actually the most simple things, because all they say is like, okay, one thing, put it into practice, and once you put that into practice, it's the next thing. We're not going to overwhelm you with endless information, so your ego and your brain can be really busy. And then you think you're doing work on yourself, but you're actually not doing anything. You're not moving forward. And that's like, for example, you mentioned fear, right? What they're teaching, like face your fears. I mean, just that. Somebody could say, okay, I'm interested in something more interesting. Like, give me something else. No, just that. Put that, my darling, into practice.
Because what they're really trying to get through to us is that we have to do the work. You've got to face up. You have got to take responsibility for your own life. You
Yes.
can't, and this is when, like that kindergarten analogy you were using there, it's like everybody running around blaming everybody else. Or he was mean to me, so I get to bash him, or he took my lunch, or whatever it might be. We've got to take responsibility for all of this. And this is why we're all running around in chaos until we stop and think, actually, I'm in charge of my life. What can I do to take responsibility so that it moves in the direction I want it to move in? And rather than taking control of your life, which is what the humanness of us or the ego of us wants to do, the higher self just says, take a step back and look for the flow. Look for what presents itself. Look for where your passion goes. Look for what you love. Because I'm a great believer that what children do in play when they're little is their life path. A child only gravitates to what it's good at and what it enjoys. And that's what our adult life should be. That's what our careers should be, what we love to do and what we enjoy, not something that just pays the bills. So we've got to, and we're not going to get to that stage though until you take responsibility and face up to all of those fears, all of those beliefs, all of those challenges that keep you in fear, or keep you with that cloak wrapped all around you, too scared to step into that higher self energy.
Beautiful. And I also think, why is working with the level of the masters, of the teachers, is so important, because they do help us create the level of energy that is needed to experience the healing and transformation that we need to experience. Because often in this lower energy field, which is present in our reality, let's just look at all the programming, the media. I mean, people are in really low energy, stuck in their fears, in projections, exactly what you said. And so for a healing to occur, you have to go to much higher energies, right? So when we work with these high level beings, we actually bring through much higher level energies. So you can go in this higher field of higher energies, healing can happen. So it's almost like what is energy? It's light, it's consciousness. So it helps you heal, because what is happening on earth is that humanity has very low consciousness, has very little light energy. That's why everything's so dark and intense. I mean, not everything, but a lot of things. And so that's one of the really important things, because this is when people can really go from that level of mentally understanding. So understanding on a logical level, yeah, I know I shouldn't be afraid, or I know I should prioritize what I'm really here to do, to actually really dropping into their body, becoming grounded, embodied. And they're like, I feel it. I feel it in every cell of my body. I feel the truth. So people are disconnected from their own truth, and the masters are not teaching us anything else but our own highest truth, how to get to our own highest connection. And people are living disconnected from that. And they're living, one of the really important things, Idri, I think that we can open up a little bit, is the topic of past lives, because people are living stuck in the energy of past lives.
85% of our time is spent in past life energy, because it's just so easy. Your soul remembers every lifetime it's ever had. And of course, your soul just wants to help you in any lifetime. So as soon as it comes across a place, a person, a smell, an experience that it remembers having done before, it just wants to take you all the way back there so it can help. But of course, what happened back then isn't relevant. Well, it's relevant, but not what we're meant to be repeating in this lifetime. We're meant to be learning from the past to do it differently in the future.
Yeah, we end up like meeting same people or souls, or ending up in same situations. And when it's a karmic situation, it's always, means a past life situation, there's a lot of unresolved energy. And so past life energy will feel like a magnet. You will be pulled into that situation. And the key is not to say, aha, this is what it is, right? Like to marry a person or to decide for a life path. No, it's to work through the energy. And I think that people don't recognize that, obviously. And they think that past life energy is saying, okay, this is the right thing for you, because you feel the magnet and you just go back into your old pattern. And there are all sorts of decisions we make in terms of how we design our life, but also internally, how our mindset, a lot of people spend, for example, a lot of time in victim mentality, feeling powerless. And that is often also a lot of unprocessed past life energy. So maybe to understand, let's say childhood trauma, we understand how detrimental that is to our well-being. Now, think soul trauma that is carried through many, many lifetimes. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about past lives. We're talking about all this energy that needs to be released and cleansed and organized. So we actually get a sense of what our life is really about, not what it we think it is, but how do you know, are you living your, let's say, best life or most soul-aligned life? One of the things I would say is you feel deeply fulfilled. Even when things are hard and challenging, you just know it. You know it. It feels like this is the right path. It is.
Absolutely.
And it's so different from, it's so different from when people, for example, like are happy at the end of the day because they're making enough money or great money. No, it's like, it's deeper. It's like, this is who I am. This is who I am. That's how it feels. And if you don't have that feeling in your life, in your work, in your relationships, in your home, in everything you do, if you don't have that feeling that this is 100% right for me, it's a very peaceful feeling. It's not excitement, right? I'm so happy I have this. No, it's like, it's really peaceful. It's a soul feeling.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, then it's highly likely you're not fully on path. You're actually acting out of your past life energies.
Yeah, but you can also find that another thing that Spirit have always made it very clear, or the masters have made it very clear to us, that is that they won't let you stay in your comfort zone for too long. So, you can get to that wonderful state of fulfillment, everything's perfect, but you actually need to keep getting pushed out of that a little bit too. Otherwise, you'll just start to stagnate and just sort of stay the same. So there's always that sort of push to move on. But yeah, that sense of fulfillment. And, when I think about that, I think, that's something probably, I don't know what percentage, but a great percentage of the population of the world probably never experience.
Yeah.
They're just going through the motions, doing what they're supposed to do, earning the money, looking after the kids, doing what you have to do. But that fulfillment, and so we've forgotten what that feels like, because we've all lived very, very fulfilled lives in the future, and we need to go back to that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you feel fulfilled, you're going to keep wanting to do more. You're going to bring your best to the table. You're going to look good. You're going to feel good. Everything's going to be right up there, because that's the energy you're working with and from, rather than that plodding through life and that lower ego energy and just, not feeling like anything's fulfilling at all.
Absolutely. And this is basically what we're going to do in Bali when we're going to do our soul purpose retreat with the Ascended Master. This is what we're diving into. We're really diving into that process of recognizing what it is really that I'm here to do. Like, what is the past life energy? How do I clear all those past life energies, limiting beliefs, and really create the real shift? And we're going to be working with the Ascended Masters. We're going to be in these beautiful energies of Bali, which are extremely supportive for this process. I think, like, I've been really called to do a lot of retreats, and the reason is that, when people do move away from their day-to-day environments and go into this beautiful space of a retreat, everything is intensified. You can't
in a good way.
You can't go back into your default state of, oh, I know, but all of your excuses why you can't do something. You actually experience a lot of really powerful breakthroughs. And I love the idea of working with you, Deidre, as well. I remember, I just want to share with everyone how we actually connected. Was it like 10 years after we lost touch, right? Probably.
Yeah, after, yeah.
So we were really connected when I was in New Zealand, and then we slowly lost contact when I went back to Europe. But then right before Margaret passing, which was, I don't know.
2016.
Okay, yeah, years ago. Yeah, it was right. Yeah. Like 2 months before she passed away, suddenly after literally 10 years, 11 years maybe, I got this strong feeling that I need to contact her. So I did. And I received the most beautiful channeling by Maitreya. And then we basically started, catching up a little bit. And then suddenly she couldn't make the meeting that we had arranged. And I hear in my voice, in my head saying, they say, we're preparing her. I was like, preparing her? She's about to transition. And then I learned that she crossed over. Now, then what happened? I don't know how long after Deidre that happened, a few months maybe, but we both had a dream about Margaret. And in that dream, I remember seeing her and seeing you. I was like, oh, Deidre, I need to connect with Deidre.
That's right. And I got the same. I had the same. Yeah.
The same dream. And she was in a red dress. I remember very clearly. Yeah. We got the same dream. And then, oh, Deidre. And since then, we've been like really, really close.
Yeah. And working towards doing some work together, because we've sort of done a little bit, but nothing, really substantial like this retreat. So it's going to be great to combine our energies and our knowledge.
Yeah. I think it's like, things are changing now drastically. I feel this last part of 2024, energies are changing. We are all going to redefine how we work, how we live our lives. Everything is going to shift now. And especially, I feel such a strong shift taking place in 2025. And we're now really energetically preparing for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just one more thing about the past life energy. This is just a fun story I like to share that really helps people understand how energy can be passed over lifetime after lifetime. And our teacher, Margaret, she, when she was, I guess she was about 40 and her son was at university, and he would come home every weekend for the weekend and then go back to university, and his best friend would come home with him because he lived a long way away, so he'd come to Margaret's house for the weekend as well. And so when they met, it was like love at first sight. So from a metaphysical perspective, love at first sight is energy that hasn't been used up in another lifetime. So as soon as those two souls reconnect, that energy that never got a chance to play itself out in that other lifetime reconnects, and bang, you're off again. And that's where we get that sort of love at first sight. So they laid eyes on each other, and it was just this incredible love at first sight, which was, of course, they felt extremely inappropriate, seeing as that he was her son's best friend and there was at least 20 years between them, and it just wasn't the right thing to do. So she said they'd have things like that. Their hands would meet over the marmalade pot in the morning. And there's a little bit of excitement for the day. So one day they decided, got on and on for quite some time, and they managed to have some time together. And they said, look, we need to go out on a date or do something and just see, where this is going to take us. Is this real? What's going on here? And so they went out for dinner, and Margaret got herself all gorgeous up and made herself beautiful. And they went out for dinner and they had a lovely meal together. And then after the dinner, they decided they'd just go and park up. So just go park the car somewhere nice and quiet and romantic. And so they sat in the car and they turned around to each other and they took each other's hands. And Margaret said she looked into his eyes and said, I really, really love you. And he looked back at her and said, I really, really love you too. And then bang, it was gone, completely gone. Because the only thing that had never been used up of that old energy in that other lifetime is they'd never got to tell each other how they felt. So as soon as that was done, the energy was gone. It was over. They just sort of left looking at each other thinking, oh, okay, probably we should go home now. And no love at first sight anymore. All gone, still a lovely connection between them, but none of this need for each other or whatever it was before. It's just amazing.
That's so amazing, because so many times I get people, for maybe you do as well. I mean, I imagine you do, with like all these relationship issues, and it's like you see it clearly. It's a past life energy. It's not this life energy. And when it's an unused past life energy and you won't keep grabbing onto it, it's not going to work. You need to clear the energy, because then what is really meant for this lifetime will arrive.
Absolutely. But it's very strong. I mean, past life energy is incredibly strong, and you can so see how people get caught up in it, because it makes you feel like the ego grabs a hold of it and goes, this is real, this is your destiny. But as you say, you've got to look at it and see what it's really made up of.
Yeah, it's so true, Deidre. It's like, that's an amazing story.
It's a fun story.
Yeah, I've done not this year, but last year, I've opened up some spaces for one-on-one sessions, and I did a lot of like sessions into people's just soul purpose, but also especially past lives. So it was almost a month where I was just doing one past life or another, because this is what the teachers wanted to talk about with people. And it was incredible. Like people I would see for the first time, and I would explain the past life. They were like, this is my life now. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, because you're completely caught up in past life energy. And it was unbelievable. And then I remember also the teachers were saying, if you don't change this energy now, if you don't change the pattern, this and this might happen in the future. Now the future is, we're saying maybe almost two years later, people are coming back with, oh, I have this issue now, that issue. And I'm like, do you remember your reading? I do. What did you say again? Do you remember the past life story that you got to explain what happened in past lives? So I think maybe Margaret really worked through that energy so quickly because she was, so high vibrational. The majority of people do take a little bit longer in most cases, right? Absolutely. Or get really caught up in a past life energy. But that's so important to understand what is in your life, your past life energy, and what is actually here and now.
Yeah, because really anything that you feel fanatically about or obsessed with or just too much with has got to be past life or ego stuff, because the higher self doesn't buy into things that much. It just goes, that's cool, we'll go with that. It doesn't like have to have that, must be this. It just doesn't do that. So that's a good indication. You can know when you're a little bit either stuck in a past life or stuck in your ego, is when you're becoming a bit obsessed about things or a person or a situation.
Emotional. So you can have really
emotional,
emotions
absolutely.
or really negative emotions.
Yeah.
Both.
It's extreme either way.
Because the things that are really right and soul aligned, the way I would say is that they usually feel so peaceful.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
feels peaceful. The right business feels peaceful.
Yeah, and we're very conditioned to believe that there's no gain without pain. So when something feels peaceful, we think, oh, no, that can't be right. I didn't have to suffer enough to achieve that. It can't be the right thing for me. I'm going to go back to beating myself up some more. But it's not. It's just, we just don't, as humans, we are so stupid. We always insist that there's a hard road that we have to take when there's a nice, easy one actually laid out there in front of you.
Yeah. Amazing. So, what can we say? What can we say? Everyone, all of us, we have so much work to do to clear those past energies and then create space for our highest purpose to manifest in this life. And we're going to be talking more in the future videos about this topic. And we would love you guys to send in questions or comments or anything so we can answer it. But essentially, what I would maybe say to wrap up this video is that, or this topic, is that really we have a choice, we have a free will to choose how we want to live this life. And this is what the masters are always teaching us. You have a free will. So you can use the path of your lower self and the path of the comfort zone and the path of the ego and the path of the past lives. You do that. Nobody's going to judge you. You're never being judged, ever, no matter what. But you will have to, reap the consequences, and enjoy the consequences. And it's not great when you actually spend your lifetime working against your true purpose. And you create your own misery, you create your own problems, and you think it's something out there creating, the system, your ex, your boss. No, it's you, because you are choosing not to live in alignment with your higher self, because you don't even want to learn what that is, right? And the other option is the choice that we can make is the choice that we do follow the path of our higher self, the path of spiritual awakening and transcending our fears, transcending our limitations, clearing the energy. And this is when our journey is going to become really accelerated and we're going to get a lot of help. And, I always am given that what is life, when you come to Earth, it's like there's this massive library of wisdom available to us on a higher level. And we come here to experience in physicality, we transform knowledge into wisdom. So there's a lot of knowledge, but as souls, we need to translate it to wisdom. So we're studying those books and we're trying to figure out how that looks like in physical.
Absolutely. And what everybody, at the end of the day, we're not actually learning anything new. We're just remembering what we've forgotten.
Yes.
Because we used to live like this. We used to live in a much more peaceful, higher self-aligned way. Yes. But now we live in a world where the ego is well and truly in control, and we've got to transcend that. And what I can also like to add as well is that it's not easy. It's not an easy job, and it's not something you're going to do overnight. But the rewards and the other side of it is just everything you've ever wanted. And that doesn't necessarily have to portray, people talk a lot about success and think that success is earning lots of money, having a great job, living in a beautiful home, whatever all that is. But to me, the true success in life is inner peace. Because once you've got that, you can achieve all those things anyway. And so this is what we're looking, that's the goal at the end of this, is a peaceful life, but a peace that's successful and purpose driven as well. But it's just peaceful. It's not a drama. You're not beating yourself up all the time. You're not, banging your head against a brick wall trying to wonder why things aren't working. You're just in alignment.
Yes. Maitreya always said, peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah, that's right.
This is how it feels to be in spirit, in our spirit form. Thank you, Deidre. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And we will talk again soon.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye. See ya.